Hello, I'm Marie Williamson, CEO of Agriculture for Life. Today, super excited. We are at Sunterra Greenhouse out in Acme, Alberta. Shelby's joining us today. We're going to talk strawberries, delicious, and tomatoes. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so let's start at the very beginning. The idea of a greenhouse in Acme, Alberta.
Right.
Do you know the story? How did it get started?
Well, the Price family have been farming in this area for generations, and they've always had this idea of having a greenhouse. It's been about the past 10 years that they've been planning it. So they did a lot of research, traveled all over the world, tried different varieties, visited different greenhouses, and then ultimately decided that they were interested in growing strawberries and tomatoes. It made economic sense because we import 95% of tomatoes in Alberta and 98% of strawberries. So they saw a demand in the market and thought they could provide something that was locally grown and sustainable.
That's fantastic. So the idea that they're talking about it, family dinners, planning this greenhouse, and right from the start, from the idea when you first broke ground to being up and operational, it wasn't that long.
No, I think it was about a year.
That's remarkable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
So you've got, I think you said 20 acres right now of a greenhouse.
20 acres. So we have 2.5 acres of strawberries and 17.5 acres of tomatoes.
Right.
And currently on the tomato side, we're growing beefsteak, tomato on the vine, and grape.
And what about on the strawberry side?
On the strawberry side, we have two varieties. We have a Delissimo and a Soraya. And those are both Northern European varieties of strawberry. And we've branded them as the Duchess.
So the plan is to be about 70 acres in
Yes.
the greenhouse. That's remarkable.
Yes. In our additional phases, we'll expand up to 70 acres. We'll definitely be growing more strawberries because there's a huge demand. But the other crops, it remains to be seen.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, right? So currently you've got the 20 acres open year-round. And so how many staff do you have?
Currently, including our management team, we have about 48 employees.
Wow. And that's
Yes.
right from, as you say, right from management all the way down to production and packaging and all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And-
We do all of our packing on site as well.
Well, and as we were getting a bit of a tour, lots of automation and technology that's used. Tell us a little bit about that. Walk us through the process, I guess.
So it's a very innovative process. Everything is hand harvested in both ranges, but we have automatic harvest carts that drive themselves out into the range, specifically on the tomato side. And then our employees harvest the tomatoes onto the carts, and then they drive themselves back to the pack line. And they offload their own boxes, and then everything goes through the pack line, and the cart drives itself back to the box maker and loads itself back up and gets ready to drive out and do it all again.
So how does the cart, very simple question, how does the cart know, is there like a go button that says, okay, it's time to get to work?
So they're powered on, and then everything is controlled through the Priva system, which is sort of the operating system of the greenhouse.
Okay.
And the carts run on induction lines.
Okay.
And then each employee has a reader that they scan in at the beginning of the day on their chip, and then you'll see these Priva sensors.
Yes, okay.
So they scan it on the row that they're working on, and then they scan it on the cart. So the cart reads the row, so we can trace back where that product came from in the greenhouse, and then it knows who picked it.
Oh, remarkable. Absolutely. So we're surrounded by strawberries.
Yes.
Wonderful. So 2.5 acres?
2.5 acres,
And
yes.
so let's go back to Strawberries 101. How does this work? I mean, there's a lot of strawberries in here.
Yes.
So you from, I guess, seed to harvest,
Yes.
around a couple of months?
Yeah, so the strawberries are all propagated from seed, which is different from traditional greenhouses. A lot of them use the mother plants to create new plants.
Okay.
What we've done is we've propagated them from seed so that none of the diseases that might be active in the plants are spread onto future generations.
Right, okay.
So the plants are propagated off-site, and then they're brought to the greenhouse, and then we plant the plugs, and they grow here to maturity, which takes about 8 weeks, and then we can start harvesting.
And so harvesting, this is a labor of love, because I've been watching, and you've got some lovely employees who I've been visiting with, and they love their jobs.
They do.
They're just, they're in strawberry heaven.
Yes.
And so this, every day they'll pick those that are ready. I was learning and asking them about, well, how do you know when it's ready, and what are you looking for in the consistency? So high standard of sort of quality.
Absolutely. We're all about quality and taste and providing the highest quality of product to our end consumer. We pick when the strawberries are perfectly ripened on the vine, and then we ship to the markets within 24 hours. Unlike some traditional field berry operations where they pick while the berries are still white and they ripen during transport. So it really ensures that they're super sweet and have that optimal flavor when our consumers have them.
Currently, where are the products sold? If I wanted to go and have some of these delicious strawberries or tomatoes, where
Right.
can I buy the product?
So the strawberries and tomatoes are both available at our Sunterra market locations. We've also been supplying our strawberries to some small farmer market operations.
Now, how does this system work? So I know, greenhouses are very well regulated, very well controlled. We've got waters, we've got nutrients, we've got lighting. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the greenhouse is controlled from an operating system called Priva, and it acts as the brains.
Okay.
And that has sensors throughout the greenhouse that are continuously monitoring for things like humidity, temperature, irrigation, and then it makes like intuitive adjustments based on those parameters.
Okay.
To maintain the optimal growing environment in either range. It depends on the crop that we're growing, what those parameters are. Additionally, everything in the greenhouse is really engineered to maximize our natural resources. So the glass in the ceiling, depending on the range that it's in, it's engineered with etching and it's hydrophilic so that it disperses the rainwater rather than collecting on droplets, so that it maximizes the use of natural sunlight and diffuses it throughout the range depending on the crop. CO2 from our boiler system is captured, and then you can see in these plastic tubes it's sent out into the greenhouse to feed the plants and help with photosynthesis, and then that also helps us to reduce our environmental impact. We use 10 times less water than traditional farming methods, and all of our agricultural leachate, so all of the fertilizer that goes into the plants, is actually recaptured, then we UV treat it and we recirculate it.
It's remarkable. Like I mentioned, the tech and innovation is just mind-boggling when you think. Now, there's bumblebees cruising around in here. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we use bumblebees in both ranges to pollinate the flowers. Yeah, and they're part of our IPM, or Integrated Pest Management System. And so we also use good bugs within the greenhouse to help control the bad bugs, which also reduces the amount of chemicals that we have to use.
There you go. So you've got this natural ecosystem that's happening in here.
Absolutely.
So once this is harvested, then what happens? Is the space empty for a little while, or is it reseeded right away, or how does that process work?
Yeah, so typically in the summer months we pull out all of the crop, which is what we're currently doing in part of our tomato range, and then everything is sanitized, and then we replant and then start harvesting again within that 8-week time frame.
And how many harvests would you get a year?
Well, we're harvesting every day.
Okay.
So it's harvesting throughout the year.
So it's 365. There's something always happening.
Absolutely.
And there's fresh, local, Alberta-grown strawberries and tomatoes available to us. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Year-round.
Year-round.
That is amazing and phenomenal and delicious.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. You were recently at a tomato conference.
Yes, I was.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, here you are. I'm going to a tomato conference to learn, and so you're becoming an expert in all of this.
Yeah. So Signify is the representative that supplies all of our LED lighting in the greenhouse, and every year they do a tomato conference where they bring together tomato growers and talk about new innovation within the industry, different light recipes that they're trialing. Talking about what's going on with lighting and energy. So it was a really great opportunity to meet other people in the industry and talk about, our operations and learn from one another.
That is fantastic. And speaking of learning, I know you've got a little bit of a partnership with the college.
Yes.
And so down at Lethbridge. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we work with Lethbridge College at our Brooks facility where we do a lot of research and development. So we're trying different varieties there of strawberries. We're doing trials on a Japanese variety and seeing if it is viable for the commercial market. We also do things like test different growing medias, look at different lighting techniques and how that impacts the growth, and just overall anything to do with climate.
Very interesting. So all of that R&D goes into making just a fabulous product that we get to enjoy as consumers.
Absolutely. And before the greenhouse became operational, the varieties that we are now selling to our end consumer were trialed at that facility.
Nice. Well, that would have been a fun job, the taster.
Yes, exactly.
So, well, thank you so much for allowing us to come in and giving us a tour. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it.